Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Insights from a Headhunter. Today, we are going to talk about career coach tips. And we have a guest all the way from London, UK, Sarah Burgess, LinkedIn career coach. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Tina. Thank you so much for asking me on. It's really great to be here.
It's so nice to see you here. I was really, really looking forward to having this chat with you. And for people who don't know Sarah, can you tell me about yourself?
Yeah, so I am a career coach. I've been doing that for 20 years. I'm self-employed and I focus really on LinkedIn and how to use LinkedIn to kind of manage and develop your career. So I do lots and lots of one-to-one sessions. I go to universities and schools to kind of show students and graduates how to use LinkedIn to be found by recruiters, and how to kind of plan their career. So I spend most of my time on LinkedIn. I also run sessions for small to medium organisations, to helping them to come up with their LinkedIn strategy. So mostly it's got a link back to development in some way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I wanted to talk to you today about people who are in looking for a new job. So what would the steps be? What would you recommend if somebody really thinks that I had enough in my current position, I want to do something different, I need a new challenge?
Yeah. So when I've got clients like that, and I do quite often have that, and I think particularly after COVID, I think lots of people reassessed their jobs and what they wanted to do and how they wanted to split their time between work and personal life. So one of the first things I normally do with people is work on something called a career line, where we kind of look back over their career from maybe when they were at school, maybe a bit later, depending on what they want to do, their age and experience sometimes. And you plot all the highs and lows that you've had over that time. And that can be work, personal, whatever. And really often we'll talk through that and there'll be themes. So for me, when I look at all my highs, it's been to do with the people that I work with, or actually more particularly the kind of manager that I've had or leader. So I
Yeah.
definitely work my best when I have the least input possible from the manager. So the manager might say, this is what I need you to do, and then leave me alone. So I identified that, and that's why I thought actually working for myself is going to suit me really well, because I don't like people telling me what to do. So that's how it worked for me. So that's always the first thing I do, is I get people to go through that, work out what it is they liked. And for some people that might be they like working for large corporates, but maybe they don't like the industry they're in anymore. So they could transfer into a different industry, but they've still got that corporate experience. Some people, it might be that they like a particular piece of technology, and other companies might use that. So we would do quite a lot of exploratory work to start with, just to find out what it is they were interested in, if they know. If they don't know, I've got lots of other tools I will go through with them where they answer lots of questions. It'll come up with suggested careers. Sometimes that's really useful. And also things like skills and strengths and values. So doing those kind of assessments, which can give you a really good idea before you kind of start looking about what it is. So yeah, quite a lot of research would go into the early stages to find out what you like. And then we just start talking about options. So I normally run a bit of a brainstorm session with people where we go through, and because I'll have spent a bit of time with them, I'll say, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? They will suggest some things, and then we'll kind of go away and do some LinkedIn work.
So it's really not starting with the shiny and quick fixes. It's really going through what are your preferences, and sometimes it helps when you talk about it to somebody new.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, you can do quick fixes. So if you know what you want to do,
Yeah.
then you can do quick fixes. And then I would say, have a look at LinkedIn, find the people that are doing that role that you want to do, see how they've got there, what kind of courses have they done, what kind of roles have they worked through, maybe ask them for a chat to, get a bit of information from them. But more often it's people that want to do something new and they don't know what that is yet.
And for people who want to change industries, because I often hear it from my clients in executive search, that we get a briefing that the industry experience is really, really important.
Yeah.
Although it's something that's quite quickly possible to pick up
Exactly.
while
Yeah.
you are working, and other skills like, let's say, procurement. It
Mm.
much more time, but changing from IT procurement to I don't know, life sciences.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing. Lots of organizations will say the industry experience is important, but
Yeah.
actually that knowledge is easy to pick up. You know, knowledge is really easy to learn because you can do reading, you can talk to people. It's the harder stuff is the more behavioral stuff. That's much harder to do something totally different. So I would say pick the organizations, maybe look for slightly smaller organizations in that field that you look to go to, rather than the big ones that might be a bit more willing to take a chance. And I've talked about this before. And so my husband, he worked in financial services, and I can't remember why I think he took redundancy. So my mum, who worked in the pharmaceutical industry at the time, sent him a message and said, I've just seen this job, business analyst. Isn't that what you did? So he said, yes, it was. So she introduced him and he had an interview. And obviously he knew nothing about pharmaceutical. He'd come from financial services. And they said to him, what do you know about pharmaceuticals? And he said, just what I've seen on the telly on this UK program called Casualty, which is a hospital drama program. I can't believe you just said that. But actually, he'd built up a good relationship with the interviewer. She thought that was really good, and she gave him the job. And she
He
just
was
said
honest.
he was on it. He made a bit of a joke about it, and she could see that actually he had all the business analysis skills. He just didn't have the pharma stuff, but he picked that up.
Yes, sometimes I think it's really overrated, and I think people who come from a different industry, they bring knowledge and tools, and sometimes when you work 20 years in the same industry or in the same company, you kind of get snowed in. So a pair of fresh eyes.
And they ask those
really
questions that they might be obvious questions or they might be stupid questions, but actually they can really make you think.
Yeah. What would you suggest that people would do as one of the first things on their LinkedIn profile when they are planning to change careers or jobs?
So what I would say is I would find people that are doing what you want to do firstly. So put yourself in private mode if you want to while you're doing your research. So put yourself in private mode, look for people that are doing that role in that industry. So you can use the search functionality on the free membership of LinkedIn really easily. You'd put in the job title in quote marks. You'd maybe search on first and second degree connections. You'd add a filter for the industry that you work for and perhaps the location. Although that's not that important really, because you're just information gathering at the moment. Then that will give you a list of people. And I always then just go down and look to see which people jump out at me for whatever reason. So people with photos definitely would jump out at me. People that maybe you can see the number of connections they've got. So they've got a decent number, but definitely people that have got mutual connections. So if someone's got 10 mutual connections, I would definitely look at them first because I know all of those people that know them. So I would spend time looking at their profiles. Then I would start thinking about my profile, and I would probably use the headline particularly at the top to talk about the industry that I'm looking to go to, and maybe the job title and any other keywords that are relevant to that role. So playing up the things that are transferable. I would then, and this is something I've been telling clients to do for ages, but it was confirmed to me by Tony the other day, which is if you haven't got a job at the moment, you really need a current job in your experience section. So add in a new experience piece with the job title you're looking for. And actually what he said there was you have 180 characters, so you can put multiple job titles in there, maybe separated with commas. In the job, you could put seeking new role in the employer, and then in the description area, put some text about what it is you're looking for and your transferable skills. So then a recruiter's going to find you when they search for current roles in that new industry. And hopefully they'll read that and they'll take a chance on you. So that's my main recommendation really, is to use that, but also use your network. So any second degree connections you've got, or first degree connections even better in that industry, contact them and ask them if they've got a referral program, if they take people in from other industries, that kind of thing. I
And
think the industry field's interesting though on LinkedIn, because obviously there is an industry field, but you can only pick one. And I've always found that a
yes,
bit odd because you might work in HR in financial services. So I would say to people, put in HR as your industry. But I know some people have put financial services. So should you maybe change that industry to where you want to go? But I don't know. It depends what the recruiter's going to be searching for, I guess.
yes. I sometimes I look for really, really specific industries, and then
Yeah.
it helps. And the client says, nobody else from outside. I only need people from this industry.
Right. Yeah.
And often people confuse their role and the industry. If you're
Mm.
working in the IT sector, in the HR department,
Yeah.
then well, HR is quite transferable.
Yes. You can do that
That's
really well.
what yes,
Yeah.
this is really one of the positions that you can do in almost any industry. But
Mm.
other ones where it's really industry specific, then you really have to put the right industry, and
Yeah.
not like if you're an accountant or in finance, don't put finance if you work in pharma industry,
Yeah.
because sometimes we need somebody with that combination. So,
Yeah.
but
It's hard.
yeah,
Mm.
it's always double checked, and oh, I think it's good to ask other people about your
Mm.
profile with
Mm.
external views. Like sometimes people put instead of their location, they put the location where the company is based,
Yes.
and it's really you have to separate those things. You can put in the experience sector where the company is based, that location,
Yeah.
and your own location. So if it's remote work, then then it's good that you have the priorities right.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one, the location is one that often clients do put in their home postcode.
Yes.
And in the UK, that might be miles away from where they actually work. So I do tend to say to people, I think what's better is to put in the postcode of where you would like to work rather than where your home location is. So for me, if I put in my home location, that's 40 miles outside London. So I would probably not get picked up in recruiter searches. So I put the location as London because that's more likely where the work would be.
Yeah, yeah. And if somebody is looking to relocate to a different country, what would you recommend?
So I would, and that's the thing the other thing I didn't mention was I would definitely put out the open to work on. So
Yeah.
I would definitely have it set for recruiters at least. And in there, you've got the option to add 5 locations. So I would add the locations that you're looking to relocate to, so that when the recruiter is searching for that, they can see those locations popping up. I would, if you're openly job seeking, I would probably write that in my about section as well to say that you are looking to relocate. These are the areas you're looking for, because obviously if you've got it only visible to recruiters, then people that are just coming across your profile are not going to see that information. So if you've got it written down, then hopefully that will appeal. And again, I would look for people in that sector that have relocated and speak to them for advice.
Yeah. And sometimes it happens that I'm looking for people from a specific country in Latin America who have lived and worked in the US
Okay, yeah.
to come back and be a general manager in their home country. So
Mm.
it's really specific keywords. The
Mm.
more information, and sometimes I just see from like from the top university from that country, I do a keyword
Mm.
search with that, and then I just have to reach out to them and ask, would you be open to move back to your home country? And
Mm.
that's the only way to do it, because sometimes they don't even know themselves that
Yeah,
now it's the right time
yeah.
and they
Right time,
want
right
to.
place. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let us head over to the comments. We have my neighbor Marjolein
Yeah.
Hoekstra
Lovely.
from the Netherlands. Hi, Marjolein. So, and we also have
Kevin.
Kevin D. Turner from
Texas.
saying
Yeah.
hello. And we have Tony Mikkelsen.
Excellent. Hi, Tony.
Hello, Sarah and Tina, I'm very excited to hear you today. And we already mentioned you, Tony.
Yes. Yeah, we have. Yeah.
So here we have comment. A great example of how to bring transferable skills to pharma, Sarah.
Thank you.
So it's, I think, so often about the transferable skills, and we also have John Esperian joining us.
Hey.
Glad LinkedIn is working well enough for me to watch you. Hashtag glitchy.
It's been awful today, LinkedIn. It's really bad.
I think they are working behind the scenes, so that's why it's glitchy. But hopefully it's the summer heat, and it will soon be back as usual. What are the mistakes that people should avoid when they are doing job search?
I think a mistake is not to have your profile ready. I think that's the biggest mistake. So yeah, I get so many people that say they don't want to be obvious that they're job seeking, but actually your network is so important when you're job seeking. So I do understand that sometimes you might not want to publicly announce it. Maybe your employer doesn't know you're working, that you're looking for work. But I would say don't neglect your network. So you can download all your connections from LinkedIn. So if you go into data privacy, you can go in there, you can download all of your connections into a spreadsheet that gives you name, job title, and employer, and the date you connected. So what I do with that information is I add 3 extra columns. So I'll say, how well do I know this person? Am I really well networked with them? And are they in a position that might be able to help me in some way in my job search? So I kind of go through and rank everybody and then sort them. And then the top 10%, those are the people that I would focus on. So I think once my profile's ready, and if I didn't want to be using LinkedIn in a really obvious way to job search, I would then approach that 10% and talk to them about what I'm looking for and just see if they've got any leads that could help me. So I wouldn't directly ask them for a job, obviously, but I would definitely be using them to say that I'm starting to look around and have they got any contacts they could refer me on to. So I think that's the biggest one. Don't neglect your network. You never know where that next opportunity is going to come from.
Exactly. And that's so important, because every time I reach out to a candidate, I ask them if they're open to talk about this new opportunity. And when they say no, now it's not a good time. So it's important to answer as well.
Yes,
because
definitely.
all the conversations that we have, I can see it. It pops up in my history, everything that we have talked about. So always saying, like, thank you for reaching out, but now it's not the right timing. And like, I got an internal promotion or whatever is happening, but let's stay in touch. And then I ask, is there anyone in your network who would match with this profile? And then it doesn't cost you anything to forward the person's name, and it makes a good first impression that you care about your network, and also you're making the recruiters help work easier. Because it's normally people in the same industry, in the same area, that they know each other. And like you said, if you're not openly looking or you can't put it on your profile, then letting other people know that you're looking, that's really, really important.
Definitely. Yeah, really important. And I think going back to another question when you asked about changing industry, another thing that's really important is salary. So, I get lots of people from financial services saying they want to move out of financial services into something else, but actually that's a really paid industry.
Do you really want to do that?
Yeah, exactly. Are you ready to take that drop in pay that you're going to have? So I think be realistic as well. So, you're not going to get the dream job in the charity sector at the same pay as you were getting in financial services, which I know is obvious, but sometimes people forget that. So I think you definitely need to be realistic.
Yeah, and that's also from the public sector. You have the job security, you have your pension,
Yeah,
and you might not have that many challenges, and job might not be as creative, but you have to set your own priorities. Nobody else will do that for you. So
exactly.
and staying in a job that's where you're not thriving, there is a cost. So not everything is, of course, you have your bills to pay,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
but really only you can define your own dream job, nobody
Yes,
else.
exactly. And that's why when people are looking at doing something completely different, I will always do a values exercise with them where we work through what is it that's really important to you, what's non-negotiable, what can you afford to do, and then that helps to guide the discussion. Because it might be you want to work in charity one day, but you can't do it now. So maybe you could look for a corporate that's got a corporate company that has a corporate social responsibility department. So maybe you could,
Sustainability,
maybe you could get in that way. And there's great filters on LinkedIn, so you can run searches for green companies now. So if sustainability is your interest, then you can run searches on that. So there's more and more being rolled out to help you make those decisions.
What about job interviews? How to prepare for them? Is there something on LinkedIn that you can use?
There is. So on the jobs tab, there's a button on the left-hand side that is called interview prep. If you click on that, that gives you 26 common interview questions. So things like, tell me about yourself, why do you want to work here? And then it's got categories. So then it's got things like account management, project management, accountancy. There's lots of other different categories. And all of those questions, you can then click on the question, you can then record a video that will allow you to, as long as you speak for 15 seconds, you answer the interview question. And what that does then is you will get some AI feedback where LinkedIn will tell you how fast you're speaking, what the pitch of your voice is like. It will show you if you've used any filler words. So basically, there's a filler word as well, as it picks up on the words that are kind of a waste of space, really. And then it gives you feedback. So that's really useful. You can also send that clip of you speaking the answer to someone else. So if you've got a coach, you could send it to them. If you've got a friend that's interested, you could send it to them and ask them for some feedback. And then you have, if you've got premium, you can watch other people answering that question. So people that have, recorded them professionally, really. But if you haven't got premium, you can get some tips on how you should answer each of the questions. So I think that's an excellent resource. And I don't know why it's kind of hidden, but it's really, really good.
I think like practice makes perfect. It doesn't make you perfect, but if you've been 20 years in the same company, in the same industry, and if you haven't been on job interviews, especially the virtual ones, you have to come prepared.
Yeah.
And best way to prepare, even if it's just talking to a computer, it really helps you. Because if we just answer the questions in our head, when you see it on the screen, when it's recorded, I think it's a huge, great asset that's not used that much.
Used enough, yeah. I think getting feedback though is so important when you're practicing for an interview, because I know what you just said about practice makes perfect. So
no,
but that's the thing. So I was talking to someone who he was coaching me in becoming a paddleboard coach, but his feedback was practice makes permanent. Permanent is not necessarily right. So you could keep practicing and get really confident in saying something that's not the right thing, so it's not perfect, but that is ingrained in your mind. So what he says is practice, get feedback, adjust, practice. So I thought that was a really interesting observation, and it's very true that you can keep practicing, you think you've got it right, but actually, because you've not said that out loud to someone else, they've not given you the feedback, you don't know that it's perfect.
Yeah, and you also do other coaching, the running coaching. Tell me about that.
Yeah, not so much these days, but so when my kids were at school, I set up a running club at the school. So we had 60 children doing running every week, which was chaos, but great. So I became a running coach at that point for that. And then since then, I've done the odd piece of running coaching for adults that want coaching. So that's been good, kind of getting people up to 5K, that kind of thing, getting fitness back. So that's good. The thing, I don't do it anymore, mainly because I'm often training for marathons, and it means if I'm coaching other people, I can't do the runs that I need to do. So I don't do that really anymore, but I will just give people tips. So that's running, and then paddleboarding. So I'm a paddleboard coach as well. So, and similar, I love to go out on the water, and if I can help people feel more confident, then I'll do that as well.
I think that's the key with coaching, giving people the confidence that
Yes.
that we can see in them, that they have everything what it takes,
Yeah.
that they realize it themselves and present them in a way that other people also understand how great they are.
Exactly. Yeah. Confidence, definitely.
We have another comment here. I didn't know about the interview prep function on LinkedIn. Thanks for sharing, Sarah.
Oh, no problem. Oh, that's good. Good to help.
That's really a big takeaway, because when you go to the interview round, it's so important that you know how to present yourself and really get quickly to the point, so that you answer the question and don't go talking about other things.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And there's other stuff on LinkedIn. So if you've got LinkedIn Premium or LinkedIn Career or one of those products, you can use LinkedIn Learning, and there's loads of interview type courses on there that you could do as well.
So what more could people do on LinkedIn during their job search?
So aside from profile, connecting with people, I would also say if you've been to a college or university, use your alumni. That's a really good network. You can go in, and as long as the university's got it set up properly, you'll see an alumni tab. And in there, you can search for people for particular roles that went to that same university. That could be really powerful. Again, people really, really like to help people that have been to the same university or college as them. So I've had a client who moved over to Canada, and she wanted a job in a particular pharma company. So I said to her, have a look in your alumni, just on the off chance. And there was a guy that had graduated about 25 years before her. She's like, oh, it's a long time ago. I said, just try. Just message him and say you went to the same university. She did. He replied, he referred her in, she got the job. It's like,
oh wow,
just because she went to the same university 25 years later. So,
and in a different country as well.
Yeah, so he'd relocate. And that's the thing. I said, you've got in common, you went to the same university, you're relocating to the same city, and you want to work for the same company. I'd reply if someone messaged me like that. I think that's the thing. I think a lot of people, and again, this comes back to mistake, people don't like to ask for help, but you need to try and put yourself in the opposite situation. So if somebody asked you this question, would you help? Of course you would. So why wouldn't they?
Especially when the question is really specific, because when you get a message, my name in capitals, because if it's automated message, then it comes to me in capitals, like screaming at me and give me a job. That's quite common. Then, but if you personalize it, say you had a look at the person's profile, you went to the same university, you see that they are in a different country, that already makes it personalized, and then people are more willing to help out.
Definitely.
So we have also Stella da Silva joining us.
Exactly.
From Oman. No isn't going to kill you, so always ask, is what I say.
Definitely. So they can say no, they can ignore you, but that's not a problem, is it?
And people want to help other people. It makes us feel good and connect with other people. That's what I normally would suggest as well.
Yeah. And I think, again, just to do on LinkedIn, is making sure you've got your keywords on there. It's really important, because I've had a few, but two that have led to work where people have just typed in guest lecturer, university, LinkedIn, and my name's come up, and I've got 2 pieces of work out of that. So make sure you've got the words in there for what you want to do. So think about the future as well as the past.
And now I remember on LinkedIn, what you said about alumni, how important it is, because I often see that somebody, even working like for a company, they say that this person is, there are people from Stockholm University who are working in that company. So
Yeah.
it really makes the world a smaller place. So your studies are so important, even if it's an MBA. It's so easy to reach out to people and say we went to the same school and connect.
Definitely. And the filter on company pages is really good. You can go in there, you can add all your filters, you can put in the keywords, and you get presented with a group of people that are doing the job you want to do. So it's so easy to find out all that information.
So I see that our time is up. I want everyone who is not connected to Sarah yet, reach out to Sarah. And Sarah also has a wonderful LinkedIn Live on Thursdays, 2 p.m. Brussels time, 1 p.m. London time.
That's right.
Career stories. I really love those stories, because some people whom I known for a while, I didn't know how they started their career. So it's really interesting to listen to that.
Thank you. And hopefully you'll be on later in the year.
Yes, I'd love that. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, definitely.
So I want to thank you, everyone who joined us, and see you next time.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.